Hi everyone, welcome back to Brain Dump. I'm Kai. Just want to preface, per usual, that I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just a 20-year-old that struggled with mental health pretty much my whole life, and I enjoy learning the psychology behind the things that we do. Lately, I've been really mindful about the time that I spend by myself, and that's something that I do a lot, but I've kind of taken a step back to think about how hard it used to be to enjoy my own company. I think of myself as living so many lives just because things are constantly evolving, but I say that because it feels like a lifetime ago where I didn't enjoy spending time with myself, you know? So when I say I've been mindful about the time that I'm spending with myself, I just mean that I'm appreciating that time and I'm not taking it for granted because I will never get this moment back, you know? Time is always passing. I used to think of time alone as a negative thing and that it made me lonely, but honestly that's not the case at all. It's weird because I feel less alone when I'm spending time with me. I am my own best friend, which can be sad at times, but for the most part I know that I have my own back and I don't feel alone when I'm by myself because I feel accompanied by me. It sounds stupid and cliche, but it's the best way I can describe it. Spending time alone has allowed me to get to know myself, which I think is why I enjoy it so much, because there are so many things that I pushed down for so many years and so many parts of myself that I never let show that I'm now discovering and allowing myself to show those parts of myself that I was too embarrassed of before or ashamed of. And of course, it's really nice to have human connection. I really do value spending time with other people as well, but I don't think of alone time as an unbearable thing anymore like I once did. Like I said, I interpreted being alone as a bad thing and that it would make me lonely, but I've come to a point where being alone doesn't equate to loneliness for me because I don't know, it's so weird to say that I've got my own back, but that's true, and I trust myself, and I have confidence in myself to make the right choices, and even if I do fuck up along the way, I'm going to learn from those mistakes, because that's the only way we can grow. Since I've been being mindful of my alone time, I've also been trying to take advantage of that time with myself and use it in the best way I can by not avoiding my thoughts. I've been journaling and just sitting with me. I've been trying to just be, which is hard for me to do. I have a hard time just staying content. I think I talked about this in the last episode, but when you're sitting by yourself and you're forcing yourself to not look at your phone or do anything that can stimulate your brain, you're just sitting there. It makes you kind of uncomfortable, which is the only way we change, and the more you have that uncomfortable feeling, the more you get used to it. And life is all about being uncomfortable. I say that all the time because if we stay within our comfort zones our whole life, we will never experience anything. And I don't think that's a fair way to live your life. I just think it's really important that we're able to be alone with our thoughts and we're able to work through them even though they can be shitty and hard and uncomfortable, but you don't have to be lonely just because you're alone. For a while, I feel like since I was avoiding that uncomfortable feeling of sitting with my own thoughts and having to face them head on, I think I just shoved it all down, which is obviously very unhealthy, but even when I would spend time by myself, I would force myself to have music or a podcast or audiobook or just anything to drown out my thoughts, which was such an unhealthy way of going through whatever the fuck I was going through or thinking about at the time. But training myself to be able to just be without that constant stimulation has helped that so much, and it makes the time that I spend by myself so much more enjoyable, because honestly, it wasn't enjoyable when I was absolutely avoiding everything and pushing it all down. I'd push those thoughts down about situations where I hurt other people, because I hated the fact that I did that. I unintentionally hurt people, but the fact that it was unintentional doesn't make it justified. I had a hard time facing those thoughts because I didn't want to be honest with myself. I lied to myself for a really long time to make myself feel better, and it was a selfish way of thinking. And that's why forcing those thoughts was so important, because I'm able to acknowledge my wrongdoings and try my damn best to learn from them. So I'm going to share some things I do during my alone time, just because we're humans, and I forget sometimes that we can just do whatever the fuck we want. Not literally, because there are laws, but, you know, I can go to a random parking garage at night and bring my folding chair and bring it out to stargaze. It's stupid, and yes, I've done it, but it's so fucking fun. Life can be fun if you make it. Yes, you're gonna get weird looks, but who the hell cares? I love drawing. I am not good at it at all, honestly, but when I'm journaling, I like to incorporate my surroundings in my entry so I can remember exactly where I was when I wrote it. They're not the prettiest drawings at all, but it helps me be mindful of the things around me, and it helps me appreciate those little things. Reading is another one. Obviously, I love to read. Even if you're not a big reader, start out with reading like 10 pages a day and slowly work your way up at your own pace, you know? This is a fact. It's backed by statistics. I made sure I got this from a peer-reviewed article and not just Dr. Google. Reading for just 6 minutes can reduce stress levels by 68%. 6 minutes? For 68% less stress? Like, you don't even have to read 10 pages at that point. Just whatever you can get done in 6 minutes. And then hopefully, since you'll get into the habit of reading, you can learn to appreciate it more and want to read for longer amounts of time. Exploring is a fun thing to do, finding different trails and renting those public bikes. I've met some really great people while hiking. Obviously, make sure you're being safe doing this. I always have taser and pepper spray in hand, so don't mess with me, bitches. Sketching out my goals is another one. This is another drawing thing, I guess, but it's something I've been doing a lot more recently because I want to travel. I've made that point clear in my last episode, but I know that it's not happening anytime soon. I've been making goals and drawing the destinations I want to go to on a poster board, which honestly makes me so excited for the future. I'm gonna need to get more poster board soon because I'm running out of space, and just seeing my dreams laid out helps me visualize it, and it reassures me that it will happen someday. Listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video that makes me laugh is another one. I know I mentioned before that I used to have a bad problem with constant stimulation, but this is something that sometimes we just need. You know, there are days where you need to do these things to make you feel better. Songwriting is another thing that I do best when I'm by myself, just because I'm able to let out all my feelings without fear of judgment. I'm able to be vulnerable. I'm just in the cocoon that is my bedroom, and I write about my feelings. It's great. This can be a different creative outlet for you, though, because there's always something that will allow you to express those feelings artistically, and you don't even realize how much you needed it until you realize how much it's helping. Making Lego sets. And this can be anywhere. Like, no one's going to arrest you. No one's gonna fucking judge you for going to McDonald's and making a Lego set at the table. Like, that's just my Tuesday afternoon. Why would I care what other people have to say about it? It's also great for your brain. It puts it to work because sometimes that shit is hard as hell to put together. Going to the library is another great thing to do alone, and you can find a book that you never would have read otherwise if you didn't even come to the library. Some of my favorite books are books that I got from the staff picks table at the library, or the new fiction section, or the new mysteries. I wouldn't even know the authors, and then the next time I came back, I'd be looking for more books by then. You just never know where you're going to find. Spending time outside, this can be in any way at any time. Being outside is good for you. Just try to get as much of fresh air as you can in your days. Writing stories is another one. This is super far-fetched, but in my lifetime, I want to write a book and publish it. That's just a little personal goal of mine. I have no clue if it'll ever happen, but I'm just putting that out into the universe. There's something about being able to create your own story and develop characters and have twists and turns and incorporate the characteristics from books that I love and put my own story that I wrote into it. It's just something fun that I've done since I was little. I think my mom has pictures of books that I wrote when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and they were about my dog named Frankie. Oh my god, I would put so much effort into these books. And keep in mind, when I say books, they were like 10 to 15 pages, not full-fledged novels. But in that time, it felt like I was writing novels. And so I would want multiple copies of the books, but we didn't have a copier. So what did I do? I would literally rewrite and redraw everything a second time just to have multiple copies. And most of these stories were mainly illustration-based, so I remember having to redraw everything was a huge pain in the ass. Going to the movies by yourself is also something that I feel like that's something anyone would be nervous about doing at first, but now I sort of really enjoy going to the movies by myself. I haven't been able to in a hot minute just because I'm broke as a joke, but I find that going to the movies alone is fun because I can people watch during the commercials and then I get to see a movie, so 2 wins. And the last thing is crosswords. I love a good crossword, you know, something to get your brain to exercise. So yeah, those are my thoughts about spending time alone and how it's important, but it's also important to interact with other people. Let's see, I'm trying to think of what's going on in my life. I'm currently playing the final season of the Walking Dead Telltale series, and I just finished the second to last episode right before I got in here to record this. So I have one episode left, and I feel like the ending's gonna be really sad. But this game is really good. And shout out to my friends Laura and Thad. Laura has never played Life is Strange before the storm. Well, she hasn't played any of the Life is Strange games. She played the first one with Thad, and then she's playing Before the Storm right now, and me and Thad have been coming over to watch her choices and stuff. And it's interesting seeing how differently the story goes, because me and Laura make totally polar opposite decisions, and it's a choice-based game, so the story alters based on what you say and what you do. So it really is enjoyable watching Laura play it, because it feels like I'm watching for the first time, because I'm seeing different things, you know? I'm planning a cross-country road trip, because I can't move out, but I can plan a trip. So I'm planning on going next summer. I don't know what's gonna be on the destination list, but I want to reach the West Coast. Also, another thing, I want to go bungee jumping. That's my new thing. I really fucking want to go bungee jumping. It looks so fun. I just see all these videos of people just jumping off of cliffs, and I want to do that, with a bungee. I don't want to die. It just, oh my god, it looks like such a freeing feeling. I guess other than that, my summer classes are pretty much done. I have my psychology final on Monday, the 22nd, and that's my last final I have to take. I'm done with my history class, and I'm done with my Spanish class, so yeah, summer semester's almost over, and then fall, I think it starts like halfway through August, so I'll get a few weeks of a break, but not much. Alright, books of the week. I haven't uploaded an episode in like 2 weeks, so I read Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, and I'm currently reading In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. This is, again, one of those authors that I never even would have known who they were if I didn't pick up the book at the library. This one's about this girl who gets invited to a bachelorette party in a cabin in the woods, and it's being held for a girl that she hasn't seen in 10 years, and there's some sort of drama that happened 10 years ago, but I haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm like 100 pages in, and I'm still kind of confused on what the context is, but we're powering through. It's pretty good. And then me and my mom went to Jacksonville this past weekend, so on the way there I started an audiobook. It's called This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. This one's really good. It's about this woman who, on the night of her 40th birthday, she falls asleep and then she wakes up in her 16-year-old body, and she makes different choices, and I guess it's like the butterfly effect, because she hasn't gone back to her 40-year-old self at the part that I'm at yet, but I'm assuming that with all the fucking things that she's changing, something's gonna be totally different when she goes back to her 40-year-old self. So it's really good. I'm really enjoying that one so far. Alright, songs of the week: Down the Line by Beach Fossils, Broken Answer Phone by Driftwood Drive, Hot to Go by Chapel Roan, Growing Sideways by Noah Kahan, and Second Nature by Clairo. Can we talk about Charm? Clairo's new album. It's so good. I love it. Thanks for listening. Remember that you're loved, you're valued, and you're appreciated in this world. Okay, I love you. Goodbye.